From Gucci to Chanel, from Saint Laurent to Jimmy Choo, if you've ever found yourself marveling at New York City storefronts, you've been witness to some of the masterpieces of legendary architect Ken Park. Leaving Korea to come to the United States at the early age of 14, Ken overcame incredible adversity from language barriers to numerous college rejections. However, his unwavering perseverance and his love for design helped him grow his small drafting studio into one of the leading architectural firms in New York City. Now, 30 years of hard work and tens of thousands of projects later, Ken is responsible for designing New York's iconic Penn Plaza and many other retail meccas around the globe. Today I sit down with Ken to find out how he did it. The entrepreneurial spirit is the cornerstone to the American dream, a beacon to all willing to weave their story into the fabric of our history. I'm Elliot Dweck, and this is From the Founder.
There you are.
Ken!
Welcome.
Good to see you. So Ken, you do a lot of interviews?
No, not a lot. I haven't had much interviews. So this is kind of exciting. A little nervous, but it's fun. It's gonna be fun. I did over probably about 500 brands. Every year we do somewhere between 300 to 500 stores. Plus
300 to 500 stores in a year. How?
And these are just the store projects. Besides the base building work, shopping centers, urban street buildings.
You've worked on pretty much every asset class.
Yeah.
This wall, I know you have a name for this wall.
But I just call it junk wall. And everything that's sort of, that I want to keep, rather than filing it, putting it away, I just pin it on the wall.
Yeah. I'm going to call it the Wall of Fame.
Okay, Wall of Fame. I came to the States when I was 14, so I'm going to basically start from there.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was in Korea. And it was funny that when I first came to San Francisco, and my brothers and I were like hanging out and stuff, and people would come by, and they smile at you, and they say hi, and start talking to you. And it's like something never experienced when I was growing up in Korea. So you ignore each other. So I ran to my uncle. He said, just smile back and just say yeah, because you don't speak the language, right, and you can't really have a conversation. So from there on, for a period of time, whenever I ran into people and they smile at me and start talking to me, I just said, yeah.
What was that like in high school?
It's not easy. And, especially like English class, history class, I had to do well on other courses to make up for the losses that I was having in the other classes.
Right.
So the areas that I was doing well, were like math classes, or building classes. There were like drafting classes. That naturally sort of led to architecture ultimately, when I really think about what happened then. As I was graduating from high school, and I looked at my GPA, it was like really bad. And the place that I really wanted to go was UC Berkeley. I wasn't gonna make it at all. So I started with City College of San Francisco, which is a 2-year community college, and luckily they had an architecture program there. And I was really doing well. Even the professors of architecture there were like patting on, it's like, you're doing absolutely great.
So was this the first time that someone's telling you that you're exceptionally talented in architecture?
Exactly. It was the point where I was graduating from City College, and I had to make a transfer to 4-year college somewhere, sending an application to Berkeley. I said, I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna keep doing this until I get accepted.
You didn't forget the dream.
No, and during that 3-year period, I applied to Berkeley 6 times, and I got rejected every single time. Turned down. And then after
wait. Why didn't you give up? After each rejection, you didn't feel bad, you didn't say,
no,
all right, they don't want me.
My ego was actually building. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna go there.
Wow.
On my 7th application to Berkeley, unbelievable, I got accepted.
Wow.
I had tears in my eyes. I was hugging my parents and were crying and stuff. And that letter was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life then. And about a week later, the dream shattered again.
No.
I got a letter from the admissions office, the university admissions office, declining my admission. So, long story short, what happened was I met the criteria of architecture school. I got declined from the admissions because at the time, Berkeley had a quota system of how many Asian students they can accept, or minority students. And they exceeded that number. So I was declined. It was like the world coming to an end. Right after that, I applied to Oregon. And they accepted me as a second-year transfer student, and I finished in 3 years and I got out. And this brush is a brush that I used in college on the drafting table.
Nice.
As soon as I finished, I went back to San Francisco, and then I spent 2 months putting my portfolio together and came to New York. But I wasn't making enough money. So every payday, I had to skip lunch and like run to the bank to make a deposit so that the checks that I wrote wouldn't bounce.
Oh my God.
I had to do moonlighting, freelance work. One of the freelance work that I was doing was for a company called My Computers Group, designing a prototype concept for a B. Dalton bookseller. The head of construction said, Ken, why don't you go on your own? Why do you have to stay with My Computers Group? I'll give you 5 stores. Go on your own, get started. I had $30,000 in my savings account. That was my life savings then. So with that $30,000, I rented an office, a small 300 square foot office on Fifth Avenue by Flatiron. You gotta see this picture first.
Okay.
That was my first office, the 300 square feet. The door to the first office.
It looks like an apartment.
On Fifth Avenue.
Wow. It's a 300 square foot office, Ken Park, and a drafting table.
Yeah, that's how I started.
And you have one client with 5 stores.
And one client with 5 stores. Probably took me about 2 months to basically get to the bottom of that money that I had in the savings account. So I was getting basically down to a point where I don't have any more money to run the business, although it's by myself.
Right. So did you think in this first year, were you thinking about, I shouldn't have left? This doesn't seem practical?
No.
Or it was exciting?
That never even occurred. No.
Okay.
It was so exciting, so much fun. Literally, I had maybe a few dollars, and that's when I received my first check from B. Dalton. And then from there on, I never looked back and just kept going.
April
18th, 1989. That was the date of the invoice. So that was one of the very first invoices that I sent out.
This must have felt good.
Yeah.
That was 1989.
Yes.
How did you go from those 5 stores to being a retail king today?
Well, I don't know about retail.
No, because you're a guy that if in the real estate world, any retailer, before making any decisions, says, I gotta call Ken Park.
I hope that's the case.
It is the case.
No, I never thought about trying to become somebody, and I never intended to become somebody. Every project I'm taking it personally, as if they're my own projects, and perhaps that attitude, has given me sort of advantage over others.
The diligence.
Yeah. So this is where I spend my life every single day. Unless I'm traveling, if I'm in the office, I'm usually here anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day. Have always been and still do. So I spend far more time here than actually in my home.
Wow. After your first retailer, right, B. Dalton, you have another retailer. Are you marketing at all, or is it just one landlord saying, I own this building, and telling their friend, this guy built out the store for me?
Both. The best connection and best opportunity to get new work is that relationship, that partnership, that friendship that you build. That has been sort of the best resources for me in terms of expanding my business. all the people at Columbia Sportswear in the store planning department, they all came from Adidas. And I worked with them while they're at Adidas. They moved to Columbia, and I'm with them. So it's the same group of people that I've been working with them for over 20 years.
Wow.
So once you build that relationship and the partnership, the friendship, you're stuck together.
It's a strong loyalty.
Yeah.
And now you have a team of how many employees?
We're about 50 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a team of 50 people. You've worked with over 500 brands. You do 300 to 500 stores in a year. Let's say H&M calls you and says, we want you to design our flagship location at Herald Center. Something that may or may not have happened.
Yes.
Now, you now have to work with H&M's brand. How does that conflict the guidelines that they give you with your natural creativity?
H&M, Herald Center, Herald Square, yes, it is one of our projects. And we work with a team in Sweden, but the design came from them. And it is their biggest flagship. There was a case where we were brought in to implement their design, not being on the creative side.
You draw it on this?
Yeah.
Parchment paper?
Well, you call it tracing paper.
Tracing paper.
The old school calls it onion skin.
Onion skin.
Yeah.
Once you get that call, and now you know what the space is and what it looks like and what they want, you take out one of these onion skins?
Yes, that's where it all begins.
Nice. So you're a guy who basically, most of your livelihood is from retail. And everyone knows today retail, we'll just say it's shifting or changing. How does that affect you in your business? And what do you think about the future of retail?
Everybody is actually concerned about the future of retail, and they all ask me, what do you think? Where is this gonna go? And one answer I give them is, I'm a retail guy. I have to believe in retail.
So throughout this conversation, I'm noticing your humility, which I appreciate, but I'm gonna ask you, what do you attribute your success to?
Really enjoying what I do. If you work hard and be diligent about what you do, and be sincere about what you do, and you really care for what you do, nothing else matters, really.
You've built this whole business very humbly, and I think that there's a lot of people that could learn from all the rejection that you took early on, and that you just kept focused and kept moving forward.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I never had the opportunity to really speak about, to the extent of what we talked about today. So I'm really happy that I was able to talk to you about all those things. Thank you.